Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I just had an amazing little unfolding here that I'm going to share with you, which I'm so excited about. I am Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And we'll give it a minute for people to pop on here, but this is just I'm just feeling kind of smug the way this is unfolding. So last night I was reading in one of the books I'm currently reading. You know, you got to have 2 or 3 going at once. And a part of this book just jumped off the page at me. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. You are the first one here today. Glad to have you. And there's Joe Neal. Good morning. Good morning. So, as I was saying, I was reading in the book last night, and this chunk of words popped off the page at me, and I'm like, ooh, this is so spot on for what's going on in my life right now. And so I picked a little chunk of it to share with you because I know that we're walking parallel processes, right? Our paths are run beside each other, which is part of the reason that we meet up every day like this. But when I got up, I had kind of forgotten I was going to share this part of the book with you. So I actually picked a card. The card fits right in with what the book is saying. So, surprise, surprise, right? So, let us start with some tapping and some breath. Nice deep breath in. Good morning, Gwen. Let it go. Another nice deep breath in. Let it go. I want you to imagine that you're waking up the wisdom part of yourself that's ready to receive information in unusual ways. Not the same way we always learn things, whether it's reading it, Googling it, AIing it, or whatever we tend to do these days, but heart and souling it. Our sense of knowing, that deep sense of knowing, our intuition, our inner wisdom, our guidance. That's where we're going today. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just feeling yourself open, receptive, ready to learn new things. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And I just noticed, hang on here, just noticed that leg was dangling right off the edge of the book. So I used a tripod with my phone on it sideways. And the one leg, it's a tripod, right? 1 leg out of 3 is dangling off the edge of the abyss. And I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? Good morning, Janine. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning, Beth. Welcome, welcome. So those of you who are here today, and those of you who watch it later, know that there's something really powerful in here for you. And yesterday, when I was reading this really helped me change perspective. And it kind of went back to, and I'm going to grab it again and lay the groundwork for us. The download I got, was that last week or the week before? Obstacles are challenges that provide me with some learning I really need to move forward. They are vital steps in the process, rather than annoyances or barriers. So we can embrace seeming obstacles because they're the challenge course that we've been placed on, given the things we're here to learn. They're absolutely a part of the process. Oh, I see I turned a little much and my light was sticking in there. Anywho, let me think. I'm going to start with the card, and then we'll go to the book. So the card is from the Native Spirit deck by Denise Linn. And I don't recall this card in the past, but it is so appropriate right now. Song of the Wild. And look at that beautiful landscape. And check out that rainbow. Especially for those of you who love to send me rainbows. Check that out. Song of the Wild. So here it is. Card meaning. New horizons await you. Are we not in this huge period of change and shift and growth? Sometimes exhausting, but sometimes exhilarating. Sometimes both at the same time. New horizons await you. You're ready to savor the wonders of the world. take some risks. And I had a semi-lucid dream this morning where I was talking with a group of very dear friends of mine. We belong to a particular group, and decisions were being made, and I was very much feeling like we were making decisions playing not to lose. We were not making those decisions playing to win. And as I was trying to explain that, there was one particular person who was rather hostile about that information. And so I was talking about, how do we know the difference? How do we know the difference between playing not to lose and playing to win? And one of the biggest pieces for me is when we're playing not to lose, we feel a sense of closing in on ourselves. We feel a sense of like shutting the door, trying to get right dead center in the middle of our comfort zone. That's playing not to lose. When instead we're playing to win, there's oftentimes some anxiety there, some fear there, but some excitement as well. And I go back to Fritz Perls, anxiety is excitement without the breath. So get the breath in there. Change that anxiety to excitement, right? So, Song of the Wild, let's see what else. Take some risks. Answer the call of the wild. Step out of your comfort zone. Live passionately. I always feel bad for people who get to the end of their life and they realize they have lived a very conventional, very safe, very predictable, very expected life. Because I think many of them get to the end and go, what was that all for? What was the point? Take steps in the direction of freedom. Expand beyond your limitations and boundaries. Maybe it's time to take a journey or do something new and exciting. And I think right now we are all being put in the position of doing something new and exciting because the old is crashing around us. It is no longer working. It hasn't worked in years, but it's now crumbling down. Your native spirit wants you to know you are entering a period of expansion and going beyond your self-imposed limitations. So those self-imposed limitations are crumbling. Even if you feel hesitant, this is the time to try something new and do things in a different way. You might even visit far-off lands or wild natural places. Adventure often entails risk, but without it, life can become lackluster and stagnant. There's a vast, new, wondrous vista just around the corner, but you'll never see it if you don't venture out. So if your idea of nature is walking around your backyard, what are you missing out on? What are you missing out on? The journey. Plan a trip. Take some classes that get you out of your comfort zone. Try new styles. Do the same things that you've always done, but in a new and different way. My dad is getting experience with that. His right hand, 3 fingers out of 5 are not working. They don't bend and they have no feeling. So he's having to do all kinds of things with his left hand. What is that doing? Creating new neural pathways for one thing, helping him become very adept at being much more ambidextrous with stuff. Also working on the right hand to bring that back online somewhat. But what an interesting opportunity, right? He would call it a pain in the ass, but interesting opportunity. It's all how you frame it, right? Push beyond your boundaries. Step out of character. Spend time in the wilderness. So there's that. Then, the book I'm reading again, I've read this more than once, is I Am the Word by Paul Selig. And this is channeled information. And in this particular part, this was channeled to him in 2009. 2009. And I'm struck by how many of these books, the channeled information, have you ever read any of Jane Roberts? The Seth books? Oh my goodness. But this is a piece, and there's other pieces that came before this, but this is the piece that jumped at me to share today. So let's take a breath. Let it go. Another breath. Opening to receiving. Trying on something new, something different. See what you think about this information. So this is from the March 12th, 2009 sharing with Paul Selig. We're ready for this. We, being this collective of beings, not from Earth, that share information with him. This is what they're having to say. We're ready for this. And the talk today is about decisions. Playing not to lose, playing to win. Now, we are not finished with trials. Trials was the previous thing we talked about, and that was kind of similar to the obstacles quote that I just read that was downloaded to me, those trials being opportunities. We're not finished with trials, but we want you to understand that the decisions that you make when you are in response to a crisis are the decisions that change the trajectory of your life and path. And most of you move immediately into fear when you are faced with circumstances that surprise you, unsettle you, and make you believe that your world is about to be challenged. So let's go back to my friend Lynn Schuster, who says, with glee, I wonder how that'll work out. Imagine we approached these challenges from that perspective. Ooh, here's my new obstacle course in life. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. We understand this perfectly, and we allow it, and we accept it as your behavior based on your circumstances and your consciousness at the level that you are. So in 2009, this collective was talking to a human being about their vibration, where they were at, how they perceived things, that at a certain vibration, albeit low, we process things in a certain way. They're dangerous. They put us at risk. Things have to change, and that's scary. And now we have elevated ourselves, 2025, many of us are in a mindset of, oh, isn't this interesting? So as I read this, I rethought my whole circumstance right now, where I'm at in my life, because there was a part of me that was fighting where I'm at in my life right now. I didn't sign on for this, blah, blah. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And what am I meant to learn from this? So much more curiosity burbling to the surface for me in terms of going through these experiences with my dad, with my sisters, my brother, etc. The whole family life thing. Yeah, it wasn't what I consciously expected, but it is what I subconsciously signed up for. So let's keep going here. But if you will understand that the rate of change that is available to you through these transformational periods responded to by a crisis can motivate you wonderfully to the next chapter of your life if you will allow it to if you will allow yourself to respond from a higher perspective. We've been talking about that, haven't we? Can you rise above it and look at it and respond in a different way than that lower vibration version of you responded? When you do this, then you have the opportunity to make a decision that is warranted and supported by you in consciousness, and that is not acting out of a place of troubled fear. How many people do you know right now who are in troubled fear? And when you are in troubled fear, how likely is it that you are going to make decisions playing not to lose? These times call for us to be brave and courageous and playing to win. And winning doesn't mean you're defeating someone else. Winning means you're stepping into your highest vibration, your own highest vibration, and living from there. Okay? So here's some examples they say. I have lost my home. I have to panic. I have to take something next. I don't know what it is, but I have to do it today. Oh my God, my husband's leaving. I have to save my marriage today. All of these are natural thoughts, and the thoughts are fine. We are not talking about your thoughts at this moment. We are talking about the decisions that you make in response to them. Period. So say you want to make a change and you are frightened of the ramifications of that change based on the situation that you find yourself in. You can stop. You can align your energies to a higher level of frequency and then begin to respond from your knowing. Again, we're talking about the heart and soul driving your bus, not that intellect. That intellect needs to be the faithful servant of your heart and soul. It's in the back of the bus. It has some valuable contributions, but it does not get to drive. Now, we talked yesterday about knowing in the previous chapter for a very real reason. And I'll probably at some point go back and pull a little bit from there to share with you also. When you are not in your knowing, you are not anywhere to be making a decision from. Let me read that again. Take a breath. When you are not in your knowing, you are not anywhere to be making a decision from. That is not appropriate. All you can be is in reaction or response, but that is very different from acknowledging the magnitude of ability that you have to know what your requirements are to further your journey forward. When you do this with intention to acknowledge your power as a co-creator of your life, you stop being a victim. When you are not a victim, you have a choice. When you are in choice, you are in your power and you are not afraid. And the trial then becomes a gift of change that is making itself known to you through your circumstances. Holy cow, right? Holy cow. What beautiful reframing for what we have previously viewed as difficulties, obstacles, bad events, terrible happenings, all the things, right? When we realize that we have chosen those things for our lives, to learn what we need to learn to better walk our path, to lift ourselves up into a higher vibration, both as a result of going through those challenges, but also in response to new challenges. That call to lift ourselves up into a higher vibration as we face those challenges, which are there. Think about it. As a kid, did we not love obstacle courses? When they set that up in gym, man, we had a blast with that. This is the adult obstacle course. We can have a blast with it as well. So, that's our stuff for today as part of your Song of the Wild. How will you rise to the occasion? How will you step into your higher vibrational self and from there make choices and decisions? How will you? Have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.